Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Oak Park City Council meeting will begin in 1 minute. Once again, the Oak Park City Council meeting will begin in 1 minute. Thank you.
This regular City Council meeting of the Oak Park City Council is called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Ed Norris, would you call the roll? Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Dunn.
Here.
Councilmember Wagner.
Here.
Councilmember Weiss.
Here.
Councilmember Edgar.
Here. Everyone's here, and there is a quorum. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have the consent agenda, which are routine items presented without discussion, and any council member can remove one of these items to be discussed.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to request that we remove one of the items for discussion.
Which one?
Item 5,
B.
B.
Good, okay. Are we all done then? A, regular council meeting minutes of November 4th, 2019. C, Planning Commission meeting minutes of September 9th, 2019. Library Board meeting minutes of August 20th, 2019. Payment application number 4 for the 2019 Water Main Replacement Project, M675, to Macomb Pipeline and Utilities Company of Sterling Heights, Michigan, for the amount of $41,245.52. Payment application number 1 for the 2019 Water Main Replacement Project, M704, to Macomb Pipeline and Utilities Company of Sterling Heights, Michigan, in the amount of $215,880.39. Payment application number 2 for the 2018 Pocket Parks Construction Project, M689, to Warren Contractors and Development Incorporation of Shelby Township, Michigan, for the amount of $271,309.66. Request to advertise for bids for the 2020 Sewer Lining Project, M703. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem and seconded by Councilmember Weiss. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, now going down to consent agenda item B, request to approve an agreement with Oakland County to provide animal care services and to authorize the mayor to sign the agreement on behalf of this city. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. And there is discussion. Councilmember Weiss.
I was just hoping that, I see Director Barrett already came to the podium, could give a little bit more explanation, more of an explanation for why we contract with Oakland County Animal Control in order to, for our animal control needs.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, to answer your questions, is we have contracts with the Michigan Humane Society and Oakland County Animal Shelter, and the primary reason for that is the Michigan Humane Society shelter has become full in the past, and we do need other options because we are a dog pound. We're not a dog shelter. We're not equipped to maintain and keep the dogs and cats for more than 7 days.
Thank you. And those are the two that we have available to choose from, is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any questions on that item? Are we ready for vote then? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. Next is recognition of visiting elected officials. Did the court want to speak, or are you going to wait for your agenda item? All right. Special recognition or presentations, we have a Census Complete Count Committee presentation. And any meeting I go to, they talk about how critically important it is that we all fill out the census information and be counted, because it's money for the city to help pay the policemen and for the library and for everything that we do with money in the city. It's based on the census. Tell us your name and your position.
Yep, my name is Danielle. I'm an Oak Park resident, and I am the chair of the Complete Count Committee, so thank you, Mayor and Council and City Manager Tungate. There's a lot of confusion still, somehow, as to what the census really is exactly, and this is done every 10 years, so it's pretty reasonable that people would forget and maybe kind of ignore the goal of the census. So first, I'd like to show a really quick 1-minute video that is very succinct, and it sums up the purpose of the census, if that's okay with the council.
Beginning in March, the U.S. Census Bureau will invite households across the country to participate in the 2020 census. But what is the census? Simply put, the census is a head count of every person living in the United States. To be sure the government represents the people, the U.S. Constitution requires a population count every 10 years. Ever since 1790, the census has determined the number of seats each state receives in the U.S. House of Representatives. It is, and always has been, a cornerstone of our democracy. We still use it to determine representation, but leaders also use the data to make decisions. Your response helps guide planning for the future of our communities. The 2020 census will help inform decisions on how billions of dollars are allocated annually for critical public services like roads, schools, hospitals and healthcare clinics, fire and emergency response services, and hundreds of other programs. In 2020, for the first time, you'll be able to complete the census online, by phone, or by mail. It asks a few simple questions, like how many people live in your home on April 1st, including their age and sex, and if there are any children living there. You should know that by law, all census responses are completely confidential, and your personal information cannot be shared with any law enforcement agencies. Every person counts, no matter who you are or where you live. So whether your family has participated for decades or the 2020 census will be your first, we all have a role in shaping the future of our country.
That's a great video. Is that going to be on our
It is a really
website?
good
Did you
video.
make that video all by yourself without any
I did
help?
not.
That was your video, right? Goodness, wow, we have such talented people.
I'll take
in
credit
this
for it,
city.
it's fine, yeah. So the census is important. Accurate census data determines how many representatives each state has in Congress, like the video said, and is used to draw school district boundaries. The billions in federal funds that the video referenced is around $675 billion. Oak Park should be getting a lot of that. Should be getting a fair amount of that. Accurate census counts can help to attract new businesses to local communities, which is what our city is striving for right now. This is a critically important time for that. It helps distribute services to children and adults with limited English, which Oak Park does have a significant population of. It helps distribute funds for people in poverty, urban land use planning, school district boundaries, and planning budgets for all governmental levels, so including us here tonight. The $675 billion in federal funding helps design effective public safety strategies. So our very much beloved public safety officers will get the benefit of this once we do provide accurate data. The amount of money the city receives from the state is directly affected by the census count. It's so important to fill it out, fill it out, fill it out. Unfortunately, the city of Oak Park only had an 82% response rate nearly 20 years ago, and 10 years ago, only 76. It went down. We'd really, really love to see these numbers just continue to climb, and they absolutely can. That's the whole point of the Complete Count Committee all across the country. There are 7 questions on the census. You will never be asked certain things like your social security number. They will never ask you for a monetary donation. You will never be asked for any information relating to a political affiliation, and you will never be asked for any credit or banking information. You will also never be asked for your immigration status. This is not appearing on the 2020 census. These are the actual questions that will be on the questionnaire. They're pretty straightforward, and it should take an average person, hopefully 5 to 10 minutes to answer all of these, online or on paper. The Census Bureau, actually, during a training seminar that I attended earlier this year, found out that it is a federal violation to provide anybody with census information if you're a part of the Census Bureau. It's $250,000 fine up to or around, and nearly 5 years in prison. They've even been subpoenaed by other government agencies and have refused to turn over this information. It is perfectly 100% confidential. And I totally understand if people were worried about that, or are and will be, and that's understandable. It is safe. So the census timeline will be starting in March of 2020. An invitation in the mail will come to every person's house to respond online or by phone. This is the first time it's able to be responded to online, and again, it should take between 5 and 10 minutes. A second reminder will come near the end of March. If people have not yet responded, another reminder notice will come, another reminder, and a paper questionnaire. So if you haven't done it online, if you haven't done it over the phone, here's the paper, fill it out and send it back. By the end of April, a final reminder notice will be sent through the mail to all have not yet responded, and near the end of spring, early summerish is when people will be knocking on doors. So how do you know if the person knocking on your door to help you answer the census is a census worker? Check credentials. Every Census Bureau employee is required to wear a verified ID that they must display. If it's, oh, I forgot it in my car, do not speak to that person. They have to have it on. We do also have a resident. Erilyn Ramsey McCullough is here tonight. She is a census recruiter, and she can answer any questions about helping with the census, because they're always looking for people who are motivated and hardworking and want to help their community. Actually, a coworker of mine just got hired by the census, and she's leaving us for a year. So, good job. The Complete Count Committee has been meeting monthly to discuss how to better our city's response rate, because we can do better and we deserve the best. And we can get that in part by filling this out. Everybody is welcome to come to our meetings. The next one is December 5th. We meet at the Community Center. As the chair, that is my email and my phone number, and I'm very much willing at any time to answer any questions anybody might have. And I thank you for your time, Council. Oh, also, we have so much information out in the flyer racks here and at the Community Center that break everything down really cleanly and really clearly and really simply. And it is all for public consumption. Thank you very much.
Great presentation. Thank you so much. Public hearing, 1 minute. 8. We're on section 8 right now, public hearing, 8B. Technical and Planning Director, Robert Barrett.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, City Manager Tungate again. Before you is an agenda item to have a public hearing on CDBG allocations for the 2020 program year. City of Oak Park is expected to receive $128,952 in community block grant funds for the 2020 program. The funds must be allocated to specific projects at a dollar amount identified for each project. One of the conditions of the acceptance of these funds is the committee hold a public hearing to solicit comment as to how the funds should be allocated. It is recommended City Council conduct a public hearing to receive comment on the allocation of the 2020 CDBG funds. It is also recommended City Council pass a resolution approving the same recommended allocation of the funds and authorize the mayor to sign the application subrecipient agreement on behalf of the city. The proposed allocation is $98,952 for code enforcement, $30,000 for public services, which is yard services.
Okay, first we need a public hearing, correct? Need to hold a public hearing. Okay. So this public hearing is open. We can receive public comment on how to allocate this $128,952 in the coming year. And then there's a card there now, so maybe when you're done, if you would fill out the card. It's got name, address, phone number, and issue, so we can get back to you if there's information that we find.
All right.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marie Verhey, and I'm the Associate Director for Older Adult Services at OLSA. I want to thank the City of Oak Park for our many years of partnership for providing yard services to city residents. For this last year, a little highlights. In the last winter, a year ago, we served 95 people with snow removal. 67 of them were CDBG clients, and there were 28 clients that were served with our other funding at that point. And then over the summer, we were able to serve 70 people with the CDBG funding for lawn mowing. Right now, we now only have CDBG funds. We no longer have those other funds. So with this coming winter, we have 74 people currently on the snow removal program, and thanks to Mr. Barrett changing and upping the income limit from very low to low, we are able to reach the different seniors who were not eligible, who we had to send a "we're sorry, we can't help you" letter to. So my staff has been very busy contacting them. And we have got 32 more that we're working to get on the list. If we get everyone to do the paperwork, we'll have around 106 people for this winter to take care of. People have to do the correct paperwork. So I wanted to thank you for the past, and then for the future. The need for yard services is there to help people leave safely in their homes, especially the snow removal, to be able to, not shovel it themselves and go to that stress for them. And then in the summertime, the grass cutting does help for keeping the yard looking nice and neat and keeping weeds from growing and wildlife from living there. We find that it's a very valuable program.
Absolutely. We value it highly. So how many people are we losing off this program?
At this point, we have about 6 persons that, around 6 to 12 persons that don't qualify income-wise, or our contractor. We have one contractor in the area, and they're not comfortable doing every client that we had in the program. So there'll be about a dozen people roughly. I mean, some of the people are over the low income. Like some people, a single person makes $60,000, and the top amount for a single person is a little over $42,000 with the new guidelines.
All right. Let's see. So this is, anyone else like to speak at the public hearing?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Is it possible to ask a question while she's
Shall we
up here?
ask a question at public hearing? Yes.
So because of the loss of the other revenue that you had funding, would this amount be adequate to service the 106 residents that you intend on servicing in Oak Park?
Yes, it should be. What we have done is the reason we've had, we've been able to use the other funds, we've kind of filtered them in between. I really think that depending on how much snow we get, we never know how much snow we're going to get, but depending on how much snow we get, I think the 30,000 would be good, would still be good. I could crunch some more numbers and let you know for later if I think there will be more. But mainly what we've done in the past is if we have too much snow, or what I consider too much snow, then instead of mowing on a weekly basis, we would mow like on a bi-weekly basis. And then like in April, May, you might want to mow weekly, and then June you can get by with twice a month, and July and August. It just depends how much it rains. This program is very weather dependent.
Okay, I understood. I was just wanting to know, because I know a few residents had expressed concern because they were on the list, and then, as you said, the loss of funding, and they weren't getting service anymore.
When we knew we were not going to get the other funding, we systematically called every single CDBG client who had done the paperwork, because some of them chose not to do the paperwork, even though they were eligible. And we called them 2 to 3 times, and we called their relatives. And then those CDBG qualified people who did not respond to those touches, we then sent them that letter. And then the people that had not done the paperwork before and/or were not eligible also received the letter. So we had about, I think it was 45 people that got the letter sent out. And then when they contacted us, we'd check their income and say, hey, yeah, you could be eligible for the CDBG program. You need to do this paperwork and this paperwork, and then we can get you on the program. We were able to do mowing twice in October for some of the people, and we were going to do yard cleanup in November, but of course it snowed before we could do that. I'm told by my contractors, if the snow melts and we have 2 or 3 days of dryness, then they might still be able to do the yard cleanup, depending on if the cities are still collecting it. So right now, we're also requesting through Robert an extension of the current contract to be able to go through the snow season and then spring yard cleanups.
And when would this begin? So if we approve this tonight, when would residents get their services begin?
Well, with the current contract that we have, which is for 2019 funds, I believe, or 2018 or 2019 funds, I forget. We're serving them through the snow, and then possibly spring. For the money that we're talking about tonight, that will be released by the feds probably somewhere May through July.
Okay.
And then the city would do an RFP at that time, and then go through the process of officially hiring a contractor to do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all your work reaching out to people so carefully.
You're welcome. And if anyone who's watching this is low income and is 62 or older, please give our office a call and we can try to sign you up. We're going to take them until our contractor says that they can't take any more on for snow removal. So
What number do they call?
248
248
209
209
2622.
2622.
2622. Yes. And one of my resource advocates will contact them and get them the paperwork and get them signed up.
Wonderful. Thanks for all you do. We appreciate it so much. These are people that can use a hand.
Definitely. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak during the public hearing on this item? No? I will close the public hearing, and then we need a resolution approving the recommended allocations of the 2020 Community Development Block Grant Funds and authorizing the mayor to sign the application and subrecipient agreement on behalf of the city.
So moved?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Do we need a roll call?
Sure.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Councilmember Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Unanimous vote. Thank you. Please turn to item 11. This is approval for payment of invoices submitted by Garen Luca Miller, PC, for legal services in the total amount of $13,933.56. Is there a motion to approve payment?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second?
I think Councilmember Edgar beat you to the punch.
Second.
There you go. All right. And welcome, by the way.
Thank you.
A roll call, please. Yeah, usually if it's money involved, we do a roll call.
Councilmember Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Motion carried. Turn to item 13A. This is a first reading of an ordinance to amend Article 2, Definitions, Section 204, Article 18, Signs, Appendix A, Zoning, of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oak Park. Is there a motion to approve the first reading?
So moved?
Second?
Moved and seconded. And there she is.
Good evening.
Director Maroney will speak to this item.
Yes, at this month's Planning Commission meeting, it was recommended by the Planning Commission to bring to council for the first reading a revision of our sign ordinance. We've been working on it for almost 2 years now. There was a lawsuit a few years ago that dealt with content neutrality, and we needed to amend our ordinances. So for the past few years, we've been working diligently with our consulting firm to redo all of our zoning ordinances. We pulled this one out specifically to move it forward because it was taking them a little longer than we anticipated. And we've also been working with our city attorney's office to make sure that the new language in here is best suited for the content neutrality moving
Can you
forward.
explain a little bit what's content neutral? What are they talking about? Like,
You essentially can't regulate what's on a sign anymore. So you have to take anything out. If you visually have to say, if you have to read a sign, then it isn't content neutral. So you have to take all of that element out of the sign ordinance, where before we used to regulate them sometimes based on if it was a real estate sign or what have you. Now you can't do that anymore. So it required us to go through the entire sign ordinance, and we had to reorganize it so there's not a red line version, add new elements to it. But essentially, it's the same ordinance, just reconfigured and meets the requirements that we need to.
excellent. Discussion or questions for Director Maroney? No? All right, roll call, please. Thank you so much.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Councilmember Edgar.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous approval. Let's see, City Manager Eric Tungate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. I would like to take this opportunity to ask Judge Apple to join me at the podium, Judge Kubo as well, to go over 15A. I rarely get the opportunity to do this.
So I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege and congratulate the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem on their decisive reelection. I understand no one ran against you, but it is a tribute to both of you that no one chose to run against you because of the good job you're doing. And I'd also like to welcome the newest council member, Julie Edgar. I've known her since she was a reporter, so I know her to be inquisitive and detail-oriented, and I also know she brings with her a lot of background information and knowledge about local issues that I think will benefit our city. So
Thank you.
welcome to them, and thank you for having us. This is our annual request that you accept the grant money that fund our 2 specialty courts. that being the Veterans Court and the Mental Health Court. As you know, those are the two courts that provide specialized service, a hybrid of of treatment along with criminal justice, along with dealing with the criminal part of a particular offense that an individual may have in fact committed or has been convicted of committing. These courts are extremely labor-intensive. Just by way of example, on Wednesday, Judge Gubo and I both have Oak Park misdemeanor dockets, and for that afternoon, we each may have anywhere between 40 and 60 cases that we hear on a Wednesday afternoon arising out of Oak Park misdemeanors. Whereas on days we handle our specialty court, whether it's my Veterans Court or Judge Gubo's Mental Health Court, we will have something like 10 cases that we handle on that day that involves team meetings before we go into court. Those team meetings include a prosecutor, they include a defense attorney, they include case managers, treatment providers. So that's where this money comes in. This is the money that allows us to handle these cases with the additional resources that are provided by these dollars. So my vet court is being funded this year. It's a $35,000 grant, and that is the money that goes towards my treatment providers. It goes towards my case managers. So those are services that come out of the grant that are not in any way made an obligation within the budget that is part of the budget that's set with the City of Oak Park. You may notice that the amount this year is a little bit less than it was last year. That's because for the first time ever, we were allowed to roll over funds. So in fact, we had dollars, and they knew we had dollars left, so they adjusted the grant and allowed us to roll over the funds. The mental health court that Judge Gubo will talk about is also being funded. And I mean, he'll tell you, we're the only one in Oakland County, so as a result, he is servicing a much larger area. I get referrals from South Oakland County, so I get cases from Royal Oak, Hazel Park, I get cases from Madison Heights, Ferndale, but Judge Gubo takes cases from all over Oakland County because he runs the only mental health court. So,
What motivates you to do this extra work?
thank you. Because it makes it, well, you've been to our graduations. We save you've seen our graduations. We save people's lives. We allow people who would sit in jail or perhaps be in a place that they become a much greater burden to society to take advantages of resources that we have and that exist in the community that are marshaled into these courts, and we return them in a much better place. So it makes a huge difference. And, you know, it's one thing to punish people, which what many people think we do, but this is an opportunity to take resources that we have and give them an opportunity to come out of the criminal justice system in a much more positive way.
So instead of punishing, you're healing.
That's what we're trying to do. Doesn't always work, works a lot, but if they don't choose to take advantage, we still have the option of punishing.
Thank you. Judge Gubo.
All right. Well, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, thank you for having us here. The grant for the mental health treatment court is it's a little bit more. We're at $100,000, and this money.
Is that because it's a bigger area?
No, it's part of it. No, it's really because we, as part of the mental health treatment court, not only do we use the money for the things that Judge Apple was talking about, having special case managers and that sort of thing, but the money that we receive in this grant also goes to pay for services for the individuals. So as part of this...
Mental health services.
Mental health services, for testing, for other things that would come out of pocket. The population that we serve, their underlying diagnosis has to be some form of mental health problem, be it developmental disability or mental illness. So as part of the requirements of having a treatment court, you have to test individuals for drug and alcohol. All of those dollars are paid for through our grant. We also have a contract as part of our program with with Oakland County, through their mental health folks, Oakland Community Health Network, OCHN, and they provide us with a person as well as part of that grant. So many of the things that the other treatment courts, and you've heard about drug treatment courts, alcohol treatment courts, they don't get any of these kinds of service dollars that we have. And part of that is because the population that we deal with in the mental health treatment court is a population, I'll say many of which, some might say most, are not capable of maintaining employment because of their mental illness. And also, many of these folks, if they had had some of this treatment previously, may not have even gotten involved in the criminal justice system. So she mentioned...
Michigan is appalling in its lack of treatment to the mentally ill. I think it was Engler's administration that closed all the public mental health facilities, and they were going to set up community-centered ways to get treatment to people, and oops, it's been 20 years and they haven't gotten around to it yet.
We could have a lot of discussions about Michigan's public mental health system, but we don't have enough time tonight. So at some other time, I'm happy to engage in that discussion. But our jails have become, in a sense, our mental health treatment facilities across the state of Michigan. But I digress. As part of this, and part of our treatment team is we have Oak Park's Department of Public Safety. Sergeant Bergman is a member of our treatment team. And Oak Park, I really must say, the Public Safety Department, through Director Cooper, his leadership, has really been right in the forefront in sending her to be trained at Oakland County, and she brings a whole lot of information and knowledge back from all of her training. When this department sees someone that, when they're called out to a scene, unlike other departments that will just rush people into the criminal justice system, this department does evaluations and may take people to common ground and divert them out of the criminal justice system. So I give a lot of credit to the City of Oak Park and Department of Public Safety for all they've done in dealing with people on the streets, people that have mental health issues. So they're a major part of our program as well, and they also cooperate with us in when people do have to be incarcerated or anything, and how that is accomplished, and how they treat people that come out of our program that end up having to go into jail. So I will thank them again for all of their effort. So just so you know, when we got the grant, we were at a level on the mental health side for about 25 participants. We've been up and running now for 2 years. We've had 36 participants in the program. Currently, we're at 22. There's a few people that we're evaluating right now to get into the program. So within the next month or so, we could be at our, what was set as our maximum under the grant at 25, although we would take more if we do get them. We've currently had 7 graduates of our program already in the first couple of years. Come January, we'll be graduating a few more. We had one person who completed our program, but he didn't graduate, although he completed it, because he tested positive for alcohol within his last 30 days, and even though he hadn't violated in other ways, that made him not eligible to graduate, and we would have kept him longer, but he maxed out, and we couldn't keep him any longer. Each individual is evaluated on an individual basis, so for some people, if we just keep them from committing any more offenses. That's a victory. For other folks, they've gone on and obtained full-time jobs. They've reunited with families. They've been very, very successful. 6 people have actually been terminated from our program of those 36 because they failed to comply. Of the 36 people that we've had in the program and of the 22 that are currently there, approximately, really 50% of the people are from Oak Park. The other 50% that we've had, as Judge Apple mentioned, we're the only mental health treatment court in Oakland County, have been referrals from other courts across the county. We even had a referral from Ingham County of an Oakland County resident. And so it's about 50-50 as far as percentages, but again, 50% being from Oakland County. So we think it's a good program. I'll say years ago I was not a huge fan of treatment courts, not because I didn't appreciate what they did. It's just that it became a program that was really, in my opinion, geared towards people who could afford to pay for the treatment and pay for the testing. And what I like about this program is that both of our programs, because Judge Apple's involved with the VA and they help pay for many, many things. And what I like about the mental health program is that we have the grant dollars to have people be in treatment and pay for their testing. And so people can't use as an excuse, we don't have the resources, because the resources are all there for them. So I guess we're here tonight to just ask you to approve these grants so we can keep on trying to deal with these 2 populations that are really in need of a treatment and services, and really do, I think, benefit them and their families. And in so doing, it then benefits the rest of our residents here in the community, because it helps make the community a safer place for people to live and work.
There probably is not a single family that doesn't have some member with a mental health disorder. It is so common, and we are so honored that we have the 2 of you in our court.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming, and keep on keeping on.
Thank you.
So where are we here? Let's see.
We should ask, as any members of the council
are
have
there
any
questions?
questions?
Yeah, I do have a question. So both of these programs are a couple years old?
The mental health is 3.
2 years old.
This is the 3rd
Yeah,
grant.
yeah.
The vet court, I think, is 8 years I've been doing it. So and as Judge Gubo said, my grant is less because I partner with the VA, so my veterans are eligible for treatment. I don't need treatment dollars in my grant. Yeah, I don't need treatment dollars in my grant because of the partnership with the Veterans Administration, with the VA hospitals. So, yeah, I've been doing it about 7 years. We currently have, I think we're at 21, and I have a couple pending to come in, and I believe we've had 6 graduations.
So do you have a dedicated day that you take these cases?
Yes, we both do. Judge Gubo does it on Tuesdays afternoons, and I do it twice a month on Monday afternoons.
So the veterans who come into the court, have they not sought treatment through the VA yet?
Some have, some haven't. So it's a very complicated relationship between vets and the VA. Oftentimes, they do not want to go to the VA because they don't trust the VA. So oftentimes, the bureaucracy of the VA can be overwhelming. So because we have a dedicated case manager from the VA, it's called a VJO, a Veterans Justice Outreach. She's also a trained caseworker. We are able to cut some of that red tape because it's now court-ordered that they seek treatment through the VA. And the VA can, I mean, we've had vets that I require them to do a full physical medical exam as part of their first contact with the VA. And we've had people find out, that they have heart disease or they have some condition that they weren't being treated with. Nothing to do with the underlying issue before me. So we've had vets that have lost family members while they're involved. It's a 2-year probation in the vet court. And I'm not suggesting it's always an easy course. I have vets that get sanctioned and will go to jail for a period of time and then be allowed back in to my court. I'm not suggesting that there isn't defiance. That's part of the issue, and that's part of the cycle that happens that you have to deal with in reference to the vet court, especially if you're dealing with someone who has PTSD. But because they can get access a little bit easier, we've been successful in coupling them back into the VA. That being said, there are some vets whose discharge is at a level that doesn't allow them or qualify them for benefits through the VA. So there's a couple of things we can do. We have been able to, on behalf of our vets, file appeals so that they modify their discharge status to a point where they become eligible to go to the VA. And we do have some treatment dollars, not as much as the mental health court. So if in fact we can't refer to the VA, and because, and actually this is a perfect example of how we work so well together, I didn't always understand the community mental health piece of it, but because we now have a community mental health, this mental health court, my vets get the advantage of the knowledge that comes out of our probation office running a community health. So people that have not qualified at the VA, we've been able to get mental health services through Easter Seals because we now understand how to access, we better understand how to access those services on behalf of the defendants in our court. So.
Excellent.
Let me just add a couple of things. These are both very intensive programs, and we can keep them for 2 years. So when they start, there's different phases as they work their way through the system. So in phase 1, where they start, they're going to see me twice a month. They're going to see Judge Apple twice a month. They're going to see our staff once a week. They're going to see their therapist once a week. They're going to go to group sessions. It's once a week or every other week. It's a pretty, and they're going to test multiple times a week. It is a very intensive program, but it is voluntary. So they have to want to get into the program. So the people that, for the most part, are seeking these programs, it's because they want to get better. And we're there to aid and assist them in doing that. But it is pretty intensive. Now, one of the reasons they might opt for it is because there are provisions in the state law that allow this as a diversion program for them. And what I mean by that is if they successfully complete this program, the original charge, again, depending on what it was and what jurisdiction it came out of, it can be dismissed and they could have a clean record. So that's an incentive for them. So we evaluate people to see if they're eligible. So first off, for my court, they must be an Oakland County resident. I get a lot of people who'd be perfect for the program, but they live just south of 8 Mile, so not eligible. Sometimes the people that get referred from other courts, other judges may have thrown up their hands and said, well, you know, I'm going to send you to jail unless you get in that treatment court. So they come over. They're not always our most successful, although we're getting better at screening the bad ones out now, because they really didn't have an incentive to be in the program other than not going to jail. But it is very, very intensive program as they work their way through it. Now, what kinds of offenses are, you know, we're not going to take felony offenses or really violent people in this program, but it can be any really sort of misdemeanor, and sometimes it might be someone who just has a driving with a suspended license, but they have a really bad mental health problem, or maybe they're a veteran that needs other things that could benefit from the program. It could be someone that gets referred to us through the city because they've had citations where the city's had to go out because they're hoarders and their neighbors have complained, and their houses have been cleaned by the city for several occasions. And now I've got one woman who met that criteria, and she's being really great in the program, and she's cleaning up her house and keeping it clean, and she's doing it. The code enforcement folks have been out and they monitor her. She's working with therapists at her house, doing all sorts of things. But the goal is to get her to do this on her own and not have the city have to go out because a neighbor complains, and now the city is spending several $1,000s to hire people and then either put it on the tax bill or she pays the bill to the city when they clean, but it doesn't solve the problem. So like with her, we're making a lot of progress, and because we have the treatment dollars to find an expert who can treat her, who deals with hoarding issues, she's getting help that she otherwise would not have been able to get help. And we'll deal with domestic situations and drinking and driving or drug matters. So it's the whole spectrum of kinds of cases that come before our court. But it is, like I said, voluntary, and we both think we're making a difference for our residents.
Fantastic. Any further questions?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you both.
Thank you so much.
For all you do, and you make us proud.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you. I think I'm on the next one, too. with Chris.
Okay.
So we need to approve, do we have a motion? No, okay. We need a motion approving a contract between the State Court Administrator's Office, SCAO, and the 45th District Court for the 2020 Veterans Treatment Court Grant Program.
So moved?
Second?
Discussion? Nope. Can we just vote orally on this one? Roll call, please, yeah.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Councilmember Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Unanimous verdict for the court.
Yeah. And Part B is resolution approving a contract between the State Court Administrative Office and the 45th District Court for the 2020 Mental Health Court Grant Program.
So moved?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Councilmember Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, 15C, I'd like to ask Director Van Vleck to join me at the podium with Judge Apple and Judge Kubo, please.
So it's her presentation, but we're happy to answer any questions.
You're on hand in case you need. Okay.
Yes. They're going to stay up here to field any questions, as this is a contract with the city, but this is largely a court-related contract. So, good evening. Just to give everybody a little bit of a refresher course on the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission, or the MIDC. It was created by legislation in 2013 to ensure the state's public defense system is fair, cost-effective, and constitutional. The commission has released a set of standards to be followed by all courts in the state, which have been approved by the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. Each local system is asked to create a plan and a cost analysis annually to ensure compliance with these standards, with the costs for compliance being borne by the state. The city administration has worked closely with the court and our local MIDC representative for the second year in a row to complete a compliance plan and a cost analysis for fiscal year 2019-20. The MIDC approved our compliance plan and our cost analysis on October 15th, but we are still awaiting a formal grant agreement from the state. Our plan this year, a little bit different from last year, includes a Michigan Assigned Counsel Coordinator, or a MAC, an MACC, who will be responsible for maintaining a roster of defense attorneys, evaluating their performance, approving payments, authorizing investigative resources, working with the city's finance department to submit our quarterly reports, and performing any other duties that ensures the city's compliance with MIDC standards.
The contract is for $85,000, and it's a professional services contract. It's fully funded through the state grant that we received, or that we are receiving for the MIDC, and we're recommending tonight that City Council approve our council coordinator professional services contract contingent upon a fully executed grant with the MIDC, and also subject to further attorney review and approval.
Okay, is there a motion to approve this contract?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
It's a step in the right direction.
Good. Great. Why is that?
Public defense is horribly underfunded. It's good to see that the Sixth Amendment's actually getting its due.
Good. Nice to hear. All right. Are we on roll call vote?
Yes.
We love coming before you to have you approve money that.
Come up to the mic.
We don't have to actually pay.
We love coming before you to have you approve things to spend money that doesn't cost the city any money.
Yes, we also love doing that.
Very
Spending
rare.
somebody else's money, yeah.
Very rare, not even a match.
Right, yeah. Roll call then?
Mayor Pro Tem Burns.
Yes.
Councilmember Edgar.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Councilmember Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Happy time with the court.
Members of, actually, one more thing I wanted to mention, council members. I've been told our Department of Public Works was out today already replacing some of these private lead service lines. And I've been told that we were able to, through our contractor, replace 4 of them today. So I'm very happy with that. Keep up the great work, guys. I, too, would like to formally welcome Councilmember Julie Edgar to City Council. Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to working with you. Council members, that completes the city manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Can we have Assistant City Manager Yee just come up and explain about taking off the street cleaning part of the truck and putting on the snowplow part of the truck and all of that?
Good evening, everyone. So our trucks, our large trucks that we use are pretty universal. So we use them for different functions through the year. And I think what you're referring to is our leaf vacs connect to those trucks, blowing the leaves from the vacuum into the back of the truck for disposal. Obviously, those trucks are also used for salting and snow plowing. So, one of the reasons, we have to stop collecting leaves curbside is because those vehicles need to be turned into plow trucks. Obviously, that occurred much earlier than we ever could have anticipated this year. And we had to do a quick convert of a couple trucks to be able to handle the snow that we had. And obviously, the snow was a lot more than I think you ever would have expected this time of year. And our quick changeover and trying to get all of our trucks and everything ready was quite burdensome, along with the fact that we had a ton of leaves on the streets. So we couldn't really plow curb to curb because we would have been throwing leaves everywhere. So this was a particularly interesting and challenging storm for us. We wanted to make sure the streets were passable. We tried to plow more in the middles, tried to get the snow on the boulevards and things like that. But it was a particularly challenging time for us.
So what do you do now? Are you changing them back to leaf trucks?
Well, we're trying to use our ultimate method, which we have, they're called the claws. They come out on the backhoes and they pick up leaves. We're trying to use those more. We're trying to use loaders and trucks. We're trying to use any method possible. Those leaf vacs don't work particularly well on snow, which is where most of our leaves are buried in, and very wet leaves and matted down leaves. They're very difficult
So you have to
pick up.
plow them up.
Right. So we're actually using plow trucks, literally, to plow leaves into piles and pick them up with loaders. And and we're going to ask for everyone's patience. I think we're doing pretty well, but it's a challenging year. I've never seen anything like it.
We thank you for your work and your creative solution.
Thank you. We're trying.
Can I-
Everyone's working at it really hard.
And,
Can I
and
ask
it is
you-
possible that people will, at the end, have to bag their leaves.
And we plan on sticking to our schedule, so we want to get through the city as we have planned. We may be a couple days delayed here and there, but we want to get through it as planned. with the forecast coming up, it is supposed to melt, and it is supposed to, be a little better in the short future here. So, we want to do what we've promised, and that's our goal.
Wonderful. And you do a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was my question. So I believe that the last day of leaf pickup, I want to say it's like the second or third week in December. Are you planning on continuing leaf pickup through that time? Is it possible to extend it
So
if
our leaf-
weather?
Our
is an
curbside
issue?
leaf pickup is listed incorrectly in the calendar. I think our curbside leaf pickup is going to end at the end of the first week in December, and unfortunately, I don't have the date in front of me. If anyone
Would it
has
be that Friday?
I don't know. Yes, the Friday of the first week.
Okay.
The 20th, I believe, is what's listed in the calendar. That's the last day that they'll pick up the bags. We're going to be putting some blitzes out and letting people know, but it always is the first week, after the first full week in December is usually when we stop picking up, just because, again, of the situation, and almost inevitably, we have a snow emergency in mid-December every year. So, it may warm up after that, but almost every year we have one. And, faced with the challenges that we did with this one, we really need to get our trucks converted over and get everything ready for snow plowing.
And are you confident you'll be able to hit the whole city before then? Because that's coming up pretty quick.
Yes, I'm confident that we can do that.
Is
Yes.
are areas going to be hit more than once? Because I know that the snow.
Actually, I believe according to our schedule, every area is hit 4 times, I believe. So
Okay.
not 4 more times, but I mean total over the period of our leaf collection, I think every area is hit 4 times. So again, refer to it's in the calendar, it's on our website. I believe it's probably at City Hall, there's maps around. But we plan on sticking to our schedule as best we can. We may be a day or two delayed just because of the weather, but we plan on sticking to the schedule. And when we say we're going to get them within the couple days of that timing, we should be able to get them.
Thank you.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions?
There it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is now time for a call to the audience. We have these cute cards to fill out now, so we get your name right in the minutes. And you put your phone number down so that if we need to get back to you, we can call you. I think they're an improvement. Anybody have anything that they would like to say? It's a quiet group. All right. Call to the council. I have a bunch of stuff this time. First, thank you for participating in the election. I went to the schools and talked to the schools on Career Day, and I told them, and I'll tell you, get in the habit of voting in every election. We don't want you just voting every 4 years for the president, because it matters who's the mayor of your city and who your local representatives are. If you're not at the table where decisions are being made, you know the old saying, you're on the menu. So get out there and vote every election. We want to thank Crystal Van Vleck for planning the wonderful volunteer appreciation dinner and all those who helped her. Volunteers in the city are carrying on a system of civic involvement that is almost 75 years old in the city of Oak Park. Recycling, know it before you throw it. So 2 tips for recycling. We can't put these plastic bags in the bins because they mess up the works. So you can collect them and turn them in your local supermarket, or you can take them to Sacra, they have a bin for them, but don't put them in your recycle bin out by the curb. Also, they would like us to please wash out these containers before we put them in. These and cans and anything we put in has to be rinsed, which was news to me, so I'm rinsing now. And you do too.
Mayor, I just thought that was your lunch. I didn't realize you had props.
Yes, it's a diet lunch, nothing in it, right. Kurt Metzger of Pleasant Ridge, he's the mayor, came to the Oak Park Library and complimented us on what an attractive area it was. He especially liked the play area, so kudos to the library. I also have another library kudo to the library, Oak Park Library Board. Hello, my name is Yvonne Williams. I am a longtime Oak Park resident. I happen to be a retired professional customer service trainer and performance evaluation specialist for a major Michigan corporation with national ties to some global corporations. Having said that, I would like to call your attention to an outstanding young man at your library desk named Avery Riley Burton. I have observed his behavior and his very professional work ethic when you aren't looking even. He is fantastic. He gets along with everyone. He's very helpful to all. You should take a second look at moving him up. Thank you for your kind attention, Mrs. Williamson. So kudos to the library. Lastly, Traffic Safety Commission members were selected at the last special meeting. Councilmember Regina Weiss is the council representative for that new commission. The staff liaison is Major Mike Pinkerton. The group will elect officers, write bylaws and rules, and then they will start researching and working on a plan for the city to improve safety on the side streets. They will make recommendations to City Council. So if you have issues that you would like looked at, if you would send them to Mike Pinkerton, that's mpinkerton@oakparkmi.gov. mpinkerton@oakparkmi.gov, and they will collect them and save them and do some research into that for you. And that's all I have for tonight. How about Mayor Pro Tem Burns?
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. And I just want to welcome Councilmember Julie Egger to her first full official city council meeting.
Thank you, it's been fun.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Good night.
Councilmember Radner.
Good night.
Whoa. Taking over for Ken.
Yeah. Enough has been said tonight.
All right.
We should sit you at the end.
Councilmember Weiss.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. All the things I wanted to say were pretty much said. The one thing I did want to say is that when we reshuffled commission appointments, I am now, as the mayor mentioned, on the Traffic Safety Commission. So anyone can also, you can also reach out to me if you have any traffic safety concerns. My email is rweiss, WEISS, @oakparkmi.gov. And additionally, I just want to give a shout out to the 3 commissions that I'm no longer the council liaison for. I'm going to miss them and everyone on them, but they are in good and capable hands. So Marion is going to take over for the library board. Solomon Radner will be filling in for Arts and Cultural Diversity Commission, and our newest member, Julie, will be our liaison for the Recreation Commission. And it's been a pleasure to serve on those 3 boards and commissions, and I wish them all well. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you. And Councilmember Edgar.
Well, thank everybody for coming out, and I am really looking forward to working with this team and engaging with residents of the city of Oak Park.
Phenomenal. There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is adjourned.